Well, welcome back to Exceptionally
Average
with Craig and
Steve.
We are here today, and we are in the waning moments of 2022, the year of our Lord. And we thought, hey, let's come together before the end of the year. Let's give our listeners, the tens of thousands of them that we know are out there.
Right.
Let's give them exactly what they're clamoring for. Let's give them just a recap of our life and of what 2022 was for us. Kind of your classic end of the year show.
Right.
But we are all about reflecting on self, maybe calling out some failures, celebrating victories.
Sure.
But then reflecting and then retooling for the future. So what we want to do in this episode is reflect on some big moments that helped shape us this year. We're going to talk about maybe our most costly fumbles. Sure. I like that term because we're both football lovers. And I don't know, I hope I get through most of my life without saying, oh my gosh, I made the biggest mistake of my life. But Barry Sanders fumbled the football. He's one of the greatest running backs of all time. Jim Brown fumbled the football. You're going to have some fumbles throughout the year. And
That's
so
right.
Some mistakes we made, fumbles we had. And then I want to ask you and get you and share our goals for 2023. And so that some of our listeners can then say, hey, I was listening to your podcast. You said you were going to do X. How's that going?
They can hold us accountable.
We love accountability. We talk about how men especially need to embrace accountability. So we will put ourselves out there and then we can hold one another accountable, but also those watching and those listening can hold us accountable. Sound good?
That sounds fair to me. Let's do it.
All right, Steve, then let's start it. Let's jump in. What are some of Steve Harris's big moments from 2022? What are things you look back on and you think, that's a big deal in 2022 for me?
Yeah, I have probably 3, maybe 4 that I think of that really were impactful to me that I look back and I'm going to remember for a long time if I ever forget them at all. I, number 1, had a wedding to look forward to. My daughter and now new son-in-law, June 17th. You were there. You officiated that wedding. So you got to take part in what was probably one of our momentous times of our 2022 for my wife and I.
I have to imagine that's like a life all-timer too,
It
right?
sure was. And, the crazy thing about it is, you prepare and you prepare and you think about all this planning that goes into it. But ultimately, it goes by in the blink of an eye. And you have to watch the video afterwards to remind yourself of what actually took place because it goes so fast. And those are the fleeting moments that you look back and you say, gosh, I wish I could have found myself in that moment longer and experienced it for a longer period of time, but you don't, and that's just the way life works. But that wedding was just momentous, and we have acquired an additional son as a result of that, and we absolutely love him. And we're so happy for both of them. So big time in our life. Personally and professionally, I have to say that we started a podcast that is mildly successful.
Yeah, people are actually listening.
People
to
are
this
listening.
thing. So much so that we actually need to be more regular in our recording.
That's right. We are, we
are letting someone down when we don't put out new content. We didn't know that would happen.
That's right. And being exceptionally average, it means we're not just C students, Craig. We are C+ students. So take great pride in that. And you know what? I've absolutely loved this time because it really helps me and encourages me to reflect on things in my life, finding the important things, finding the value, finding ways to self-improve and reach out to others in a way that wasn't always possible. So the start of this podcast was a big deal for me. Additionally, I was able to spend some quality time with my kids that now as an empty nester, I can look back and say, I can pick days and moments that were really big deals. And I'll give you another example. Last week or 2 weeks ago now, I guess it was a week and a half ago, my son and I went to the Big Ten tournament, Big Ten championship in Indianapolis. And it wasn't anything about the game that I enjoy. I mean, I love the game, but it was about the day with my son, my adult son, who we just got to get away from life in general and enjoy one another and experience something new for the first time together. And there's real power in those moments.
And you're kind of father and son there, but you're also in a new stage of life where you're kind of with just a friend that you love being around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
he doesn't cease being your son, but he's just a cool dude that you want to spend time with.
Right. And what I appreciated so much is he was so grateful And it makes me want to do that more often, right, as a dad. And I had those moments with my daughter as well, and just times, and they're both so different from one another, but I enjoy them so much so for different reasons. The final thing for me professionally, I accepted a job promotion, and it was just a great experience for me, great opportunities in a position that I kind of created for myself by doing things that others didn't do. And as a result, I've worked my way into a management position that didn't exist before in my company. And so now I'm kind of creating this uncharted territory that's kind of the wild, wild west, and making it my own. And that's a big deal to me. And I take great pride in that, and just really have enjoyed probably those 4 things in general in 2022. So
do you have anything else that you're really proud of that you accomplished in 2022, or is it kind of all of those in there, or is there anything that really stands out as a great, like, hang your hat on piece of pride moment or anything like that? Any competition you competed in or anything like that you're thinking of?
Not so much. Health-wise, you and I have had these conversations a number of times about how do we improve our health, whether it's nutritional or physical exercise, things like that. I've been able to remain very consistent with that and maintain a weight and a nutritional plan that has been very key for my success going forward, and just being able to do hard things. And I love being able to do hard things. And so that mindset has been a real big change for me, something that I've been able to maintain through 2022, and take great pride in that.
By the way, your kind of physical health journey?
My first real experience, I've always been physically active.
When did you become a CrossFitter, I guess?
That would have been about 3 years ago, but I really didn't start dialing in on my nutrition and my health, understanding it, until probably
19?
I would say January 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been full 2 years now.
Okay.
And I feel completely dialed in. I get it now. I understand what it means to not diet, but eat nutritionally.
You did hit some PRs lifting wise this year, though.
I sure did. I did, and
which is pretty crazy when you say. I mean, you're an elderly man.
I am. I'm something like that. I appreciate.
You're over 50.
You know that's a double-edged sword, right? I am stronger than I have ever been in my life, and it took me to be 50 plus years old to be able to get there. Isn't that crazy?
You know, those barbs meant way more to me when I was like in my 20s. Like, look at this guy. When I'm staring down 40, it's like, oh, no.
I used to be the young guy in the room, trust me, and I know what it was like. I remember those days and looking at this old guy across the table and thinking, I will never be that old.
When I started at this church, I was the youngest person on the staff, so I was the senior pastor. All of my employees were younger than me. Now I have like 3 employees that are younger than me. I'm like, what happened? What happened, man?
Yeah.
And so, awesome.
You know, the other thing too, and I want to say this for both of us, is we had the opportunity through 2022 to both reflect on something that we accomplished in 2021, and that is both of us writing a book. Now, the actual action of writing the book and the release of our books was a year ago, but I think 2022 gave us some reflection to look back at that and really figure out not what it just meant for us, but what it might have meant for other people who we may have impacted, because those waves, that ripple effect, still come to the shore, and people still approach me and probably still approach you.
It's the high moments. When it's one of the best investments I've made, because I'm just enjoying it into perpetuity now.
Of course.
And so, like, the hard work is done. It's out there. And I got a call, called a month ago. Woman called and left a voicemail and said, hey, I'm a chaplain. You don't know me. I got my hands on your book, and I give it to people in the hospital. And it helped a woman who was dying feel secure in her salvation.
Wow.
So thank you. And just thank you for writing it. And I found it very helpful in my ministry.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, my jaw's open and on the floor. And I'm like, well, that's a great day.
Right.
Like, all right then, Lord, thank you for that one. But and again, I haven't touched anything with that book since November of 21.
Yeah.
This is the middle of 22. And it's like, man, that is a great investment. Write a book, people. We got a podcast episode on that.
Yes, we sure do. And I got to take part as a result in April of this year in an art and book festival over here in our county, just north of the lake, and here I was among all of these authors who had written all these books, and it made me feel very special. Here's people coming in and looking at books and other books, and people standing up and giving dissertations on or synopsis on what their book was about. And to be a part of something like that was just a cultural experience I'm not sure I'll ever hear
a little bit of
and watch
imposter
again.
syndrome. Like, these people are smarter than me.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm an author.
That's right.
Self-published, but author nonetheless. I have an ISBN number, man.
That's right. Yeah. So, enough about me. What you have had some takeaways from 2022 as well, high moments.
Yeah, the high moments for me, I was kind of thinking about them. There was a lot. 2022 was good. I'll laugh. I don't say this tongue in cheek. I really mean it, and I don't mean to disparage it, but a high moment for me was getting off the school board.
Oh yeah,
I got off in 2022, and that was a difficult season for me.
Sure,
just a hard job as a young family man. The amount of time it took, the stress it brought, so that helped a lot. That was kind of a high moment.
Do you appreciate it more now that you're further away from it? Like, 100%. Hey, I'm glad I did that.
I'm so glad I did it because I know the Lord called me to it. He showed me a million things. He taught me a million things, and I'm not even saying I wouldn't do it again when I'm 65 and
a different season
of life. It is a very difficult job for a younger family man to do. And then also to manage the church retirement. I think it's the most important thing, or someone even in your season of life, when you don't maybe have ballet and softball and, t-ball and soccer.
Not up and down the driveway 7 times.
Exactly. It is an exceptionally important thing to do. But for me, it was also, and I look back, man, we kept kids in school during COVID. It was a very controversial thing we did at the time. Yeah. Now, and we had the governor of Ohio literally calling us out in press conferences and saying Mercer County is not doing this right. Now, I think most in the county would argue, or in the state would say, they got more right than they got wrong. And that I will take a victory lap over that the rest of my life because of how much vitriol and hatred we got. I mean, the emails and the things that were said to me. So also I was on the school board in a very difficult time during COVID. So I think that might have given me a tainted thing. But so got off that. The other thing that happened this year was our youngest, Lincoln. So 2 kids, Elsie and Lincoln. Elsie's in 4th grade. Lincoln started kindergarten this year. So having 2 kids at school has been a very big change of pace, specifically because my wife stays home.
Right.
So for 7 years, she's been a stay-at-home mom. She cared for our youngest Elsie. Then we had Lincoln. She cared for them. By God's grace, we haven't had to put Lincoln ever in daycare. It's been amazing.
So the dynamics of your house have changed
massively, to the point where, like, once a week, my wife and I go out on a date. During the middle of the day, we go to lunch, and we have free childcare called Salina Public Schools, and we can go out to eat wherever we want, because the kids don't have a say, and our bill is half of what it normally was.
And you get to have adult conversations?
Adult conversation and not watch people waste food. And it's been amazing.
Wow.
And so that has been a huge change for us because we're not from this area, so we don't have grandparents nearby. Right. So getting a babysitter and stuff, that's not always easy for us when you got to find someone you trust your kids with. Now that they're older, it's a little easier.
So connection has changed for you.
Yeah.
That's been a big stepping stone.
Huge. And so that has been probably the biggest change for us. And then helping my wife navigate through, what is that new season going to look like for her? You know, people, are you going back to work? And right now she's not. And I've encouraged her to stay home because I'm like, our house just runs better right now. And our kids are still really young. When a 5-year-old's sick, someone's got to stay home. They're not 13 where you can call and check on them and be like, hey, you good? Do you need me to come home? And a 5-year-old needs supervision. And so she's able to do that. So that was a huge change. As I looked at some 2023 things I'm probably most proud of, I think the thing I'm most proud of is retaking my physical and mental health in 2023. And it was both. The biggest outward transformation was my physical health.
That was a result of the other, though.
Correct. And so people look and they say, wow, you've lost 50 pounds. I would say if you're starting to lose weight, people will start noticing around 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Around 30 pounds, a lot of people start noticing. And at 50 pounds, you've had a dramatic weight change. Like, it is, you look at photos and you go, oh, your face is much skinnier. Your clothes don't fit. You're down multiple inches on your pants and your gut and that kind of thing. So that taking charge of my physical health is easily the thing I'm most proud of, because I've tried dieting a billion times. Every fat person's tried dieting, even if they say they haven't.
I think every normal person has probably lost about 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Now they've gained it all back.
They gained it all
but
back.
over a period of their lifetime, probably 500
that's
pounds.
The other thing I'm most proud of is I stopped trying to lose weight in
Yeah.
May of 2022, and I haven't put it all back on.
There you go.
Now, has it been more difficult these past couple months when it's gotten colder and the holiday season and all that? And I'm like, oh, I'm starting to see that. Today, did I go for the cookie because I was stressed? I did. And so, like, I still have those things, but for the most part, the reason I think it's been easier to keep the weight off is because I radically changed my diet. So I don't run through McDonald's. I don't go through Burger King. I don't eat really trash food. I'm not eating 1,500 calories for lunch every day.
I would frame it up even a little bit differently. I would say you don't diet at all. You've established a nutrition.
My diet. Yeah, I changed my nutrition.
Yes, and so when people think diet, to lose weight, I have to diet. I have to be in a deficit.
I changed what I eat.
You have changed your nutrition plan altogether, and it's changed your life.
Yeah, I mean, just the reality is, I used to probably eat 1,000 to 1,500 calories for lunch because I'd eat Subway a ton. I would eat Taco Bell. I'd eat fast food because I'm busy, and I would just get something quick, a double cheeseburger and fries and a Coke, and that's going to be 1,000 calories easy. You just blow your day. You're going to be in a surplus, and then slowly over time, not a ton, 200-300 calories, but you're going to be in a surplus, and you're going to gain weight over time, and that's what people slowly do. So I changed that. The physical health came then, and then the mental health was a part of that. Just changing a lot of my negative thinking, a lot of the way I thought about myself.
You made a covenant though with God. If you made that change, in my mind, this was, you had described it to me before as your relationship with food, but you as a pastor, you as a husband, you as a father, you kind of made a covenant with God about how you were going to go forward with your life. Is that fair?
I just felt like I was living a pretty hypocritical life. So a pastor will call, and I'll call guys, if you came to me and said, Craig, I've got an alcohol problem, I'm going to say, Steve, you need to, I understand we've all got addictions, but you've got to fight that addiction in the power of the Spirit, and you got to walk in sobriety, and you got to walk in newness, and God wants that for you. If you came to me and said, I'm addicted to smoking, I said, I know tobacco's a wicked thing to try and break, but God wants physical health for you. So don't smoke. PSA to all our listeners, don't smoke cigarettes. It's really dumb. And God wants you to be physically healthy. So I just had a deep conviction of so why it's hypocritical to then say that and then be obese. Mm-hmm. It's uncomfortable. It's taboo to talk about, but God convicted me deeply of that. And because of that too, my mental health, I wasn't happy with what I saw in the mirror. I did not like the version of myself I saw. And it wasn't some new age, I need to love myself. It was, I was overweight, and when I would take a shower, didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And that is a real thing.
Sure.
So just struggling with that versus then starting to like what I see, or at least enjoying the progress I'm seeing. And then the other thing too is really learning how much I was coping with food, which is not helping my mental health at all because I'm just coping, versus I'm struggling, I'm feeling this, and this. I need to name those feelings. I need to give them to the Lord and walk out a good health, physical health, or good mental health. And in the way I paired those things together is I started taking a walk every single day. Mm-hmm. That was my exercise. If you lived in Salina on Main Street, you saw me walking every single night in the summer. I probably walked hundreds of miles this summer, and I listened to dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of audiobooks and podcasts, just taking a walk. And it was the best thing for my physical and mental health because no one bothers you. You're just taking a walk. A couple dogs chase me here and there. But other than that, it was just in that. So when I look back on 2022, I will look at that, Lord willing, and say, that's the year I figured out how to fuel my body. That's the year I grappled with health, mental, physical. and started being willing to accept responsibility for my choices and started being willing to look to God and say, how can we make this change? And then learning how to change long term, because I don't want to put it all back on.
Right.
And I don't want to do it slow over 10 years. And I would like to stay healthy, but that's going to take commitment. And that takes walking out a new, which by the way, isn't as much fun. It was way more fun to eat the Creamery, which is a custom ice cream place we have here in town. I went there last 2021. I was their best customer. 2022, I went there once. It was amazing. And I looked forward to it. And I was fine. But you cannot eat at the Creamery twice a week and have good physical health.
Right. There is a cost reward to everything that we do.
So I just started playing that. And so it's like, yeah, the Creamery's great. Dying of a heart attack at 51 is not.
Right.
Not being around for my family is not. Not being a good example of my congregation is not. Not embracing the power of the Holy Spirit in my life is not. So yes, fresh ice cream, amazing. Rejecting what God called me to, who he's called me to be, not good. When I actually put those on the scales, but I have to be honest, I miss the ice cream.
Sure.
And so if you pretend like there's these health nuts that are like, oh, it's just so much better, I don't even miss that stuff. It's like, did you have Taco Bell? Because it was amazing. And they're like, oh, that was trash and it was
No, it's not. It's very good.
Have you had fake cheese? It is so good. I'm not saying it's good for you. I'm saying it's good tasting. That's why people eat it. And so I think it's actually better to admit that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's transition. What's your biggest fumble or some of your fumbles from this past year?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I really had to think about this because as I initially reflected on 2022, I looked back and thought, God, what a great year. You know, God really blessed me with some really cool things. But I look back and I see where I may have dropped the ball a couple times. And I mentioned the cost reward, and I mentioned that I had received was rewarded, benefited from a improvement in my career path, right? I was promoted and created my own path. But that came at a cost. I look back and I think, I spent an awful lot of maybe unnecessary weekends and weeknights busy doing work where it took away from time with my family. And especially during the winter and spring early last year. And I was so motivated by not failing at work that it really caused me to kind of stumble or fumble the ball in your terms at home. Now, it didn't affect my marriage so much that it didn't lose the game, right?
Fumbles are costly.
Exactly. But it came at a cost because I missed maybe the power of some other moments with my wife, maybe with my son, maybe with my daughter or whomever, because of my fear of failure. And I needed to find, looking back at that, I could have found a better balance at that, maybe for a period of about 3 to 4 months. And I missed some opportunities there that I'm a little disappointed in myself, but it also, I benefited from it, but I also lost from it as well.
Yeah. That's a good definition of a fumble. You didn't lose the game.
Right.
But maybe you could have completed the drive without it.
Think about it this way. I got a personal foul, 15 yards, but they were offsetting penalties. So it kind of balanced out.
There you go.
So that was my big fumble, I think, something that caused me to reflect and learn from, grow from, and I can do better for going into 2023. But how about you?
Mine actually kind of goes with the physical health stuff. I went into it thinking I would fail because I had failed many times. So I set out on this physical health journey. I'm going to lose weight. I contacted you. You were one of the first people. So I added some accountability. I knew I had the pieces, but if you and I would have had a very frank conversation, if 3 or 4 weeks in, I wasn't doing anything, you probably just would have said, hey, it's clear you're not wanting to do this anymore. That's okay. Still love you. Still my friend. if you want to take it seriously, let me know.
Right.
So you weren't with a cattle prod,
Right, right.
there. You were there to hold me accountable, but it was incumbent on me to do the work.
Mhm.
And I didn't think I'd do the work. And because of that, I took no beginning photos.
Oh.
Because of that, I shared none of the journey with people. People just were like, "You losing weight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of doing a diet thing." And they're like, "Have you lost a lot of weight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm kind of down 20 pounds. Or, I'm kind of down 30 pounds." They're like, "I didn't even know you were trying." Well, most people blab it everywhere
Right.
kind of thing. Now, I think it's actually good for people to work on themselves, grind in private, celebrate rarely. I think that's actually healthy.
I agree.
But one of the ways that God has gifted me is to tell story. I'm a storyteller. I'm
Sure.
a preacher. I tell the story of Jesus Christ, but I tell it in such a way that hopefully engages people. And I have the ability to tell the story about my kids. I think that's what makes us, we're both storytellers. That's why we wrote a book. Hopefully, our listeners would agree that's why it's a decent podcast.
That's
because
right.
we can tell stories. I think I could have engaged a lot of people in their own physical health journey had I told that story along the way. Had I believed in myself and said, I'm doing this and I want to invite you into this process. I want to invite you into what I'm learning and I want to invite you to take this journey with me. I think a lot of people would have done it. Now, maybe only one or two would have succeeded, but that might have been more than I did. The first time I ever posted something about my weight loss journey, I got below 200 pounds for the first time since high school, on my birthday, on my 36th birthday. It's the first time I ever posted anything about it.
But you
So I've
weren't
been
so
on
much
it
afraid
for-
of what you were. You were afraid of yourself failing, but you were also afraid of letting others down who
Yeah.
would have come alongside
100%.
you.
Yeah. So if you go, let's take that hill, and they start climbing the hill, and then Fatty stays at the bottom of the hill, and you're like,
Cheering the others on.
you guys took the hill. I thought we were gonna quit on January 15th, like we always do. And then it's like, oh, and we've seen how many social media people do this kind of thing.
Right.
And I don't like that kind of thing. And so, but I regret now because if I would have had some belief in the power of what the Lord could do in my life, if I stayed consistent, I think I could have brought some people along and invited them into their own journey. And then because of that, they would have gotten healthy too. Mm-hmm. Now, I think in the after effects, I share stuff pretty strategically now on social media and stuff. And I do it now to encourage people. So I'm working with different pastors. Mm-hmm. Specifically, I've met with several pastors trying to help them on their weight loss journey. The same way you've helped me. Right. Because I want to bring them along and help them see it too. I think I might have been able to do that more strategically. So again, did I win the game, so to speak, with physical health? I think I did pretty good. Mm-hmm. Could I have scored a few more touchdowns, a couple more style points? I think so. And I look back and I think, yeah, it's kind of a fumble. I just posted about physical health because I hit my year anniversary of when I started my health journey. And my sister, who's wonderful, posted on there, posted before, and where's your before picture and after? I'm like, I don't have one. I just had to find a random picture of Fat Craig that I had. Like, I had pictures of me, but I didn't take a strategic picture that would have been like, wow.
This was the transformation.
Because I didn't think I'd succeed.
That's amazing.
So that was my fumble.
So let me ask you this question. You know, we've talked about what our successes were. We've talked about what maybe our setbacks or our fumbles were for 2022. But, you know, we're about halfway through December. We still have an opportunity to finish strong, right? And
that would make a good show.
And it would make a good show. Finish strong. Yes, somebody's got to do that and be more consistent with that. And
2023 goal, maybe.
I think that could be something that we look into. But we have the opportunity to finish strong and encourage others to do the same and set themselves up for 2023. What would be your advice to others as we get some momentum heading towards the new year to just kind of give yourself just a little bit of a facelift?
I think the best thing I did was actually start my health journey at the beginning of December.
Mm-hmm.
So then I hit the ground running through the holidays, and I still have my passion. And then I overcame cookie season and sweet season and all that stuff. And it was like, well, if I can overcome that,
now it can be easy.
January's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And so I actually think it's helpful to get some momentum up, call it an on-ramp, and then you're already on the highway January 1. All the other guys are just putting their blinker on, pulling out of their driveway.
Because there's not a lot of sweets on President's Day.
You're driving 60 down the highway going, I've been doing this for a month. I'm already kind of in a groove. I'm figuring it out. I'm here to go. So whatever you're thinking resolution, for example, if it's finances, I want to get out of debt. Hey, you know what you could actually do? Don't go more into debt over Christmas. Like, live moderately around the holidays so that in January, you're not like, oh my gosh, I want to get out of debt. And I just racked up a huge credit card bill. So there's some ways to really kind of, whatever you're thinking, start doing it now. And it will actually help you succeed in January because you'll feel like, oh, I've already been doing it. Like all these other fools had a New Year's resolution. I had a life transformation. I started doing it in December.
Yeah, let me tell you what I think my advice would be to others and anybody who's trying to ramp up for 2023 and get some momentum is, start now, but find an accountability partner, not who is in the same spot as you are, but who has already done it, who has already held themselves accountable. Because, I don't want to take financial advice from somebody who is homeless.
Or Sam Bankman-Fried, like the FTX guy who just defrauded people.
Yes, exactly.
Like, how do you run a business? Not a good guy.
Right. I want to take financial advice from somebody who is successful. Yeah, like a Warren Buffett. And I want to understand how they're doing it so I can come alongside them. I can raise the level of my game versus, hey, let's try to get through this together. Oh, here it is, January 3rd. Yeah, we're both tired and
we have no wisdom.
We have no wisdom at all, so we're just spinning our wheels. So come alongside with somebody who is not just an accountability partner, but somebody who has already done it and been through it and is willing to help, because that's how you're going to most likely succeed and get traction.
Amen. Okay, 2023 goals. Now, if you say it into a microphone, it exists and it's out there.
Well, it goes on the internet, and everything on the internet is real.
100%. Abe Lincoln said that.
Yes.
Everything on the internet is true. Abraham Lincoln.
That's right.
When you think of 2023, do you have some goals that come to mind? Personal, professional, whatever they are?
Yeah, I'll start professional. I want to take what I'm doing and I want to take my program, what I have created, and I want to go global with it.
Nice.
I want to take it to Europe. I want to take it to Australia and other parts of the Asia Pacific and South America. So I want it to be global. It's not going to be enough for me to just be successful in the U.S. or North America. It's got to go beyond that. So that's my
huge goal.
That is my
literally, it's global.
That is my professional mindset right now. And
is that realistic for 23, or is that more the 5-year goal?
It's absolutely.
You're taking steps in 23.
It's absolutely realistic. I'm taking steps in 2022 to make it possible for 2023, and that's what has to happen. So it's already in motion, and so. By December 31st, at the end of 2023, I'm going to be able to look back and say, okay, I have installed what I'm doing in these other parts of the world.
Have some new stamps in the passport.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I would like my wife to travel with me.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun. So we can do that. Other things, I want to see my son graduate college. So he's going to be graduating Bowling Green at the end of next year.
Go Falcons, roll along.
Yeah. What is it? Yippee-yi-yi-yay. What do they say it?
Ziggy Zumba.
Ziggy Zumba. That's what it is. I can never get that right. Anyway.
You having a substandard education at Toledo, Steve. I understand it.
Yes.
We make allowances for your speed.
Yes. We have a 4-year driving degree instead of only an associate's degree for driving. Yeah. But I want to see that through. I think I just want to be more present because I think, like I said earlier, that was something I kind of missed out on, especially earlier in the year. And I want to challenge myself to be more present with my wife, with my kids, and just kind of experience the world, I guess, a little bit through their eyes and not necessarily only through my own.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have any real lofty goals personally, because as far as like as a father, as a husband, it's more of just a continuum. I want to get better the next time around. It's like being it's a process.
Well, you're in a different stage of life, to use our weight loss analogy. You're in maintenance mode.
I absolutely
am. I'm pouring wet cement still with a 9-year-old and 6-year-old.
Right.
You've got adults.
I do.
You're there to support, but you're like a backstop now. They're their own game.
Very much so.
I mean, Colin is still more under your care, but he's a grown man. He's
Yeah, he
bigger
sure
than you,
is.
So.
He's bigger than me. He's stronger than me. He's better looking, and certainly
He's
younger.
Steve 2.0.
Yeah,
We remade him.
that's exactly right. Something like that. But I don't know if I have any lofty goals personally.
Okay.
I just want to be there for my family. I want to be present. I want to take advantage more of the moments that are available to me instead of wishing for the next thing.
Any kind of just quick, any crazy physical health goal that you'd like to do? It's simply, I'm not a CrossFitter. Maybe there's some that you'd like to do some snatch and grab, cling,
Yeah,
hang
I'll tell you what I would like to do.
800 kilograms or whatever.
I would like to be able to do some handstand walks,
That'd be cool.
and I would like to be able to do a bar muscle up. In other words, I'm hanging from a bar, and I would like to muscle that bar down around my waist so that I am up and over that bar, and I'm this close, but yet so far away.
Yeah.
So that's going to take more technique.
Yeah.
And trying to figure that out.
That'd be hardcore. That'd be sweet. If you could do that.
Yeah. You know, I just want to do hard things physically like that. I really enjoy that. So the more things I can do that are hard, and I can prove to myself that, hey, this is for 50-plus-year-old people. It's not just for the 20-somethings, and set an example for others. I love doing that kind of stuff.
You do the geriatric division.
You got it. No doubt about it. I want to be able to jump into bed at 8 o'clock faster and better than anyone else.
At 8 o'clock after you went to
That's
the
right.
buffet at 3:35.
I'm terrible at that. I ask my wife all the time, but it seems so dark outside right now. You know, it's
The
like
other
everything
day,
is bedtime
I
after
looked outside and
5:30.
I'm like, did I stay at work till 5? It was 3:20. And I'm like, I just go to sleep. This is bad. But all right. Well, let me wrap us up. I'll share my 2023 goals.
There you go.
I've got a few. I want to add, so I've got brand new health insurance coming in, starting in 2023, and it covers a gym membership. Now, you know
Excellent.
that I've never joined a gym, so people are surprised by that.
I
When
am very excited.
I lost 50 pounds and I never joined a gym.
Right.
Now, I had a stationary bike, a treadmill, and a kettlebell.
Yeah, it
That's
wasn't
my
like
gym.
when you did it without work.
Correct. I worked out every night.
Oh, yeah.
You can't not. But I did not do strength training, and that was one thing we talked about a lot. It was strength training. One of my 2023 goals is to utilize a free gym membership and to feather in some strength training. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I want to try and do that because it's free. And if someone's going to give you something free to improve yourself, I think you should
take
do
it.
it. I always said I've got my master's degree, and I had someone reach out and say you should go do your doctoral research from a university, and I said, will you scholarship me? And they're like, no, but we could discount it maybe. And I was like, no. And they're like, well, why would you come if it's scholarship but not? And I'm like, because if you're going to pay me to better myself and do doctoral research, I'll do it. Like if you're going to give it to me for free, but I'm not going to pay for it.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I felt about gyms. Like I can go to my basement and do it, but if you're going to let me use it for free, I'm going to try and take advantage of it. So I want to try and add some strength training
Good
in
for you.
2023. And that I actually would like to minimize some gut from a physical health. My buddy Mark, real good friend of mine, carpenter, just a snarky, wonderful man of God, up in Bowling Green. He also lost, I think he lost like 70, 80, 90 pounds this year. Quiet grinder, didn't say a word. He's not a social media guy, but him and I were talking because we were both bigger guys. He was much bigger than me when we started, bigger than me, not much bigger than me. He's taller than me too, though. But he lost a ton of weight too. Him and I both talked. He went through the mental stuff. Mark rode, I want to say like 1,200 miles this summer, and that might even be low, like 1,500 miles on his bike this summer. And he did big bike races over the weekend. Like he would do like the 100-miler things. We ride 50 one day, camp, and then ride
like the
50.
Go Bus stuff.
Yeah, yep. So he did that. Yep.
Yeah.
And he invited me on that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not quite ready for that. Now, I was riding my bike this summer, but I was like, I'm riding more like the Coldwater and back. That's 12 miles, and I'm doing it in like an hour. You know, that's not great time. I would like to do one of those with him. And I don't know what it'd be. Maybe it's just a little 30-mile, 40-mile thing, but I'd like to do some type of, I don't want to say competitive in a, I'm going to race people and win.
But something that gets you out of your comfort zone.
Rules, timing, course, wear the helmet, wear the number, go on the bike ride. You're on a thing. You paid to enter the thing. So I'd like to do that with Mark. Him and I have talked about it. And I think it'd be a good challenge for me because that would give me something to train for because I'm not the type that will show up unprepared. So if I know that in July I signed up for a 75-mile race, I'm going to be able to ride 75 miles before I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like, I won't be like, yeah, I'll figure it out. That's not how I roll. Last thing, I want to start a new book in 2023. Now, I want to be careful on how I say this goal. I don't know that I will write the whole thing in 2023. I already know the idea, and I already know what I want to write about, and I already know the angle and the thesis, so to speak. So as early as January, I would like to begin outlining those chapters. And then come July, my church, our church, your church, has been able, they've let me take a preaching break in July.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better when I preach 40 times a year versus 48, 49. Just mentally, I'm exhausted. And I just need to do different things. I'm like a zoo animal. If I just pace back and forth. So the past 2 years, I've taken the month of July off from preaching. No one even notices because they're all on vacation. And they're like, oh, were you off? I was gone for 4 weeks. Like, kind of thing. So it works out great. But I come back fresh. I come back energized and that kind of thing. And I do other projects. I would like to do some writing again. So 2 years ago, during the month of July, I wrote my book. So I would like to start. I don't know if that's going to be a 2-year project or a 1-year project, but I would like to start at minimum my new book in 2023.
That's awesome.
So then I can say multiple book author.
The suspense is killing me. I can't wait.
I'll tell you off air. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm excited for that. And I got my idea. I feel like it's from the Lord. I feel like it'll be exciting. And
my secret life as a Michigan fan.
Yeah, but yes, that's what it's going to be. Of why I converted. So, anything else as we recap 2022 and look to 2023? You got?
I'm just really excited. A great outlook on 2023. I can't wait for it. Mm-hmm. But I also don't want to miss out on those moments. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure I capture those. So I'm just looking forward to the new year and seeing what it brings.
It's been a great year. The pandemic's mostly behind us. So we thank God for that. We both had good years. Our families are healthy. The Lord's provided. We have food in our bellies. We have heat in our homes.
And we have good friends.
We have good friends. We have a good church family. So honestly, when you step back, there's a lot of people doing a lot worse.
Oh, yeah.
And so we thank God for that. And we hope you, our watchers and our listeners, have an awesome new year. We will be back early in 2023 with a new episode. So check that out then. And our goal, maybe cooperative goal, is to be more regular and write Steve and tell him to be more regular with Finish Strong.
There you go. That's a good idea.
We'll end it on that. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.